All right, so I welcome you guys to another video, and in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys the practical session of how these sessions can actually be implemented, right? So we talked about sessions, and we talked about the importance of actually understanding session as a day trader, as a swing trader, as an intraday trader, or even as a scalper, or whatever kind of trader you are. So it is very, very important because it actually help us understand the nature of the market and how price actually literally delivers, within a particular space in time, right? So now, during the theoretical section, I actually talk about the four different types of sessions we have. Categorically, three different type of session. If we have to split everything broad enough, we get five, right? Because we have two different sessions in Asian session, we have two different sessions in London session, and then we have what are they calling New York session. And I also talked about the timing, which is 10 o'clock for the Sydney session, which is specific to Australia. That's 10 o'clock Nigerian time. Right now, I even had to change my trading view indicator to the time settings from New York. Naturally, I use New York. That's -4 or -5 based on the time, the season we are in. So if we are in a leap years, and sometimes it also usually change in the year, right? So sometimes we have -4 GMT as a time, and sometimes we have -5 New York time GMT or -5 UTC as the time. So, but I'm specifically going to be using Nigerian time, which is +1 GMT, specifically Lagos, and you can also choose to use London. Sometimes it's also +1 GMT too. So for this training, so that we can be able to easily relate. So now, without wasting much of our time, the first thing you guys need to do is that you need to come to the indicator session here. Can you see that? I'm currently pointing at that now. So you click on it, and you had this indicator called the Asian Range Indicator by Nico 945. Just type Asian Range. Even though if you are using a mobile, you can actually, or if you are using a smartphone, you can actually get this on your screen, right? So you need to do that. Get that on your screen, right? So once you had it, it will be much more visible on a time frame like the 15 minutes time frame. So as we can see, this is what it looks like. This red, I hope you can see that, this red spacious highlight, right? So that's typically what the indicator looks like. So what it helps you in doing is that it helps you spot out the Asian range, which includes the Sydney session and the True Asian session, which is the Tokyo session. So the Sydney session is by 10, it opens the market, and Tokyo session is by 12 o'clock Nigerian time. That's 12 o'clock GMT from. So as you can see underneath, my time is currently at UTC +1. So everything we are currently teaching now is going to be based on Nigerian time. So if you want to go further to understand how this thing, to understand the perspective of the New York kind of stuff now, so you can go further and try to relate. But I personally am already used to it. So now, one of the rules to trading session or making use of session is that I said that you guys should not be trading at the end or the dead of session, which is typically around the closing time of the day. So now let me just spread one side wide, right? So the patterns I already talked about, the nature of these sessions. So we are also going to be talking about it, but now I'm just going to be talking about some things, right? So now, close to the closing time, you can see this is 10 o'clock. This is exactly 10 o'clock. If you are looking at the bottom of the screen, that's at this, this date bar, right? So you are going to see it there. So this is currently 00 UTC, right? I mean 00 UTC, which means 00 UTC +1. So which is typically 12 o'clock in the morning here in Nigeria. So that's when the True Asian session starts, which is the Tokyo session. It typically helps you map it out, right? From there. So the dead of session is typically when the session is about to close. So the session starts from here, 12 o'clock Nigerian time. The Australian session doesn't really map it out, just the Tokyo session. And then down to 6 o'clock in the morning. This is 5:45 if you are looking at the bottom of the screen. So 5:45 close to 6. So by 6 o'clock, the Asian session is out. Then we are now into the London session, and then The London session is going to start from 7 o'clock, which is the Frankfurt session. From the Frankfurt session, we are actually moving to the London main London session, which is by 8 o'clock. So now the rule says that you should avoid placing trade during Asian session. You see this red spot. Don't place for for some other people it might be different based on the settings of the indicator that you want. You can choose to make the theme white. Maybe you want to let your own background be showing white for the whenever the what they is going to be highlighting something, highlighting the Asian session out. It just maps it out, right? So this one now it starts another day. This day was Thursday, and this session, this is 12 o'clock, same 12 o'clock, whereby we have normal 12 o'clock Asian session, real Asian session open and not Sydney session. That's when we start seeing this. Although market opens with Sydney every day, don't forget, but it help you map out the three Asian session. So the purpose of this is just so as for you to be able to, when you're entering your chart, you are just seeing it straight, right? So you don't need to be looking at time and so on. So now this is another day and you want to avoid trading Asian session. During Asian session, just be sleeping, right? Don't trade during that time. Forget about it. Forget about anything trading. And until 8 o'clock in the morning before you trade, because the manipulation in the market can happen. You always notice this is 8:15. We had this price movement come down, regardless of the fact that price has been moving upward. So, and one of the nature of this is that we said it can either come for mitigation, just wait for after 8. After this after 8, you can decide to say that you want to enter trades in the market and so on like that. You get. So it's either it is coming to mitigate, once it's already 8:02, you can decide to now say that you want to start placing your order. So, and there are cases whereby we have news, right? So you need to watch. You need to watch, right? So after 8 o'clock now, you get. Like now, if you did not wait for this 8 o'clock now, let's say you have been in a buy and then we entered 8 o'clock. See what happened 8 o'clock? It would have stopped you out. That is a manipulation. This one now is even going like accumulation. Then the manipulation did not really sweep the low of the Asian range, right? So that's the main reason why you always need to wait till after 8, right, before you enter a trade, right? So it's typically 2 o'clock New York time. So that's 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. New York time. So now take a look at this spot. So we have this Asian session. We did not really have much manipulation and so on. Price just consolidate. This was Friday. It consolidated all through Friday, right? So, but you want to make sure you are waiting until after 8 and not trading Asian session, because sometimes, a lot of the times, there's always news at the open of these sessions, right? So you want to avoid it. Now, if price is touching a particular zone, if price is touching a particular zone, like now over here, was you could have been looking at. Oh, sorry, that's not a valid setup. That's not a valid setup. So, but I'm just trying to give a very, very clear example. There are times whereby you also have missing trades. Like this trade over here now, this was a trade from this week Monday. I missed it. This is the fact that it was Asian session that it reached the place, and I don't trade during the Asian session. I don't even enter trade because it might trigger you in Asian session, and then London session manipulation can just come in, sweep it out and also sweep the lows, right? So that's the main reason why you need to pay close attention to this session. Now take a look at this point now. Let's say you have been selling from the high of this, the high of this session over here. You have been selling during Asian session and it has been moving your direction. Let's just assume a setup that doesn't exist now. Yeah, it's even a setup that exists. You would have said that, okay, yeah, you see this PDRA metric, blah blah blah. You saw this PDRA metric setup, and then you were like, you want to enter, right? You have entered, it's already running profit. But take a look at what happened during 8 o'clock. This was 6:45. This was 6:45, 7 o'clock. That's Frankfurt session. London session now is still London session manipulation, because Frankfurt is also part of London. It swept the high, and then it now this in this case now it came to mitigate, right? So now I would like to talk about something that is very, very important, and that is the fact that you should not always think of. I said it in the previous video and I'm still saying it now. you should not always think of these sessions as things that you forecast, that automatically, okay, there is going to be, manipulation in London, right? No, you shouldn't think of it that way, right? You don't want to think of it that way. What you just want, your best approach to session is for you to obey the rules, which is don't trade during the initial session, avoid placing a limit order overnight as a day trader, and always wait until after 8, which is until when London session, the true London session by 8 o'clock Nigerian time are finally open. It is actually 2 o'clock New York time, right? Until after it have opened around that 8, right? That's when you can now say that you want to. But if it has not opened, don't enter trades, because when it opens, it usually come with its own move. So you just want to, that's the way to use sessions, right? So until after 8, you can now enter the market and say that, okay, yes, this is my setup now. I want to place a limit order, this and that. Because sometimes even this zone that is here, sometimes it can even be very, very aggressive and it will sweep it off, right? So you want to wait until after 8 Nigerian time. So your bias should still be your bias. It doesn't tell you the direction of the market in a direct format. No, that's not what the sessions is for. It's just for you to pay attentions and take a look at this point now. This one even swept this low. You could have been like, yes, this one swept. It's traded off a breaker block, because this is a nice, if we have to look at this structure, it's a very, very nice buy structure. I think it was from last week. So it broke this structure, this high, right? So it already tapped this zone. We have this, then this is a breaker block. So it tapped the breaker block, and as it tapped the breaker block, it has been moving upward, right? So it broke this structure, and then it also broke this next structure too. So it could have been like, you want to enter from this zone that is here. This is just me showing you how setups that you are not even meant to take at all. Alright, so now take a look at this setup. What time did this move happen? Just look underneath the screen. It's happened around 6:45, and that's prior to 7 o'clock, approximately 7. So this is one of the main reasons why you don't want to be trading during Asian session. Just avoid it at all costs. Don't place a limit order overnight, and wait until 8 o'clock every day before you start planning on entering the market with a position. Right? There are times you miss trade, few times that you miss trade that it will not sweep, but you are following the rules, because those volatility movement that usually happen around those time, or the manipulation, you can never tell. You can never tell, right? So it's very, very important. Always avoid low volume sessions like Asian session, and Asian sessions highs and low most of the time. Take a look at this case scenario now. Take a look at this. All right, don't let me just point that out. I haven't really made a video on that. So that's related to the market maker X model. So let me just dive into the 1 hour. So on the 1 hour time frame, this is the 1 hour time frame. We had this fantastic break of structure, right? We broke this high, as we can all see. Let me go to the 30 minutes. On the 30 minutes, it's much more clearer, right? So it broke that structure. Let me just move backward. I actually had to highlight it so as not to stress myself, right? Over this whole thing. So it broke this structure. I don't know if you can all see that. All right, it broke it. So after breaking it, we had a whole series of ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, and so on like that. So the remember, your setup is your setup. The purpose of the session is just to make you not to participate in setups that are most likely going to fail, right? That's the purpose of the sessions, right? So if you understand session, you understand that there are times whereby you are not supposed to be in the market. There are some setups that at also particular time of the day you are not supposed to be there. Like now, if price got to this zone now, right? It was during London session it got to it. So I could have literally placed my order, because now it is during London session that it got there, right? It got to that place and I'll target this side. My SL can be under this. So that's if I'm making use of aggressive entry, right? And we can all see that it literally smashed TP, because it's a fancy and nice setup, right? It smashed TP nicely, or 1 to 8 RR. Someone could have used that for a swing trade and it would have just panned out like nicely. Nice setup. It's like 1 to 11 sef, right? So now price, my point is that price actually got here. You see, this Asian session, it have highlighted it. Price got here during London session, and it was already after 8. This was 8 o'clock. At this point, we were in 8 o'clock. So it was already after 8. Anything 8:04, 8:05 is nice. 8:03 sef is nice. You can, if price get to your spot on 8:03 or 8:04, it's nice. Anything from that time upward, you can enter trades, right? But if price had gotten to this place, if this red stuff that is highlighting my Asian session is actually showing on this zone, which means when price got here, it was during the Asian session, I'll forget about it, because we have higher chances of London session just opening and sweeping the low. It can happen, right? So those are times whereby you need to know that, okay, yes, I need to avoid this setup. Oh. I'm looking for a case scenario. Take a look at this point now. It was during the Asian session, right? So you would have looked for a confirmation entry here during the Asian session and you would have been tagged in. But take a look at what happened during London session. Let me just zoom that in. Let me zoom that in a little bit. Right. So take a look at what happened during London session. It swept the low nicely, swept the low of that Asian session. And that was this is a typical bullish day, like it showed it nicely, right? It accumulated during the Asian session, it's manipulated and it's distributed upward all through New York. Let me just zoom that very well so that we'll see it. This is a typical bullish day. This is also a typical bullish day over here. Take a look at it. It accumulated, it's manipulated during London, and during New York it distributed. You see, bearish day now, it accumulated, the manipulation did not happen, but it went distributing. You know, I talked about this profile too, right? So, but that's just the concept of session. See bearish day, it accumulated, it manipulated upward, bearish day, then it distributed all through New York, right? So you want to be very, very careful of the manipulation, even though if you have highlighted your trend with your technical analysis, right? So the sessions tells you the proper time you are meant to be in, that you will not likely to be, swept out. Like now, this is a valid setup, and this is the last one I'll be talking about. This is a valid bullish setup, or did it not break structure? It breaks structure, right? Did it not have fair value gap? It has it. This has fair value gap to a great level of extent and a nice one. But take a look at what happened. So it was during Asian session in form, and during London session it swept the low. Later on in the day it went upward. Right. So that's just it as regards this video. Hope you guys have understand it. Session is not meant to be used to forecast the direction of the market. It's just to know the proper time and the best environmental condition to be able to enter into the market. Number one rule: never trade during dead of session, like when the session is about to close around 6 p.m. in the evening. If you are seeing setup, just forget about it, because it is still equated to Asian session. Those setup cannot complete before that day ends, right? Because it's already in the dead of session. So you just wait till the next day before you look for a setup. So, and don't trade during Asian session, because most likely price will sweep it off, right? And if price is not sweeping it off, no problem. Just follow the rules. Sometimes you see it like that. And always look for trade entries after the London session, the true London session at 8 o'clock in the morning opens. That's GMT plus one, or UTC plus one. And that's all for this particular video. Hope you have actually learned something. And I'll be looking forward to see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.